Balancing the books for a whole country is no easy task, even for one as economically stable as Switzerland. Take, for example, the cost of infrastructure. Even though maintaining roads and railways, schools and hospitals is more or less constant, the money to pay for it isn't.
Income, mainly in the form of taxes, can peak or dip alarmingly depending on general economic conditions at any one time. During boom years, the state can rake in a lot of money since more people have jobs and regular wages, and companies pay more taxes on greater profits. But that money supply can dwindle during economic downturns.
So when things get tight, governments can always borrow money. This is what Switzerland was forced to do up to and including the early part of this century. A severe recession was followed by some big bills to beef up state-owned companies, such as the Swiss railways. The result was more public debt, which ballooned from 38 billion francs in 1990 to 130 billion by 2005.
But debt comes at a price. Interest payments have to be made to the people who lent the money. This is additional expenditure that can't be used to improve the roads and railways, schools and hospitals. And if a recession rears its ugly head again, that mountain of debt looms even larger. That's where Switzerland's form of direct democracy comes in. In 2001, the government asked the people to vote on a so-called debt brake, a system designed to reduce the debt burden. And the plan was accepted. The debt brake was implemented in 2003.
From that point on, what went out, in the form of public spending, could not exceed what came in the form of tax income. In this way, debt levels would not rise, but the debt brake rule didn't stop there. All existing debt must be gradually paid off during economic boom years. So how is that done? Rather than focusing on balancing the books in any given year, the whole economic cycle is looked at more broadly. In other words, the boom and downturn periods over several years.
In good times, the government's books must be in the black by the end of the year. And in years of economic downturn, the government is allowed to go into the red. At the end of the cycle, the books must be balanced and show no increase in debt burden. The surplus is then used to pay off the debt.
So how has Switzerland fared more than 10 years after its people decided the debt brake was such a good thing? It was trimmed down by about 20 billion francs by the end of 2012. But not everyone is a fan of the debt brake. Those who don't like it fear there's been so much focus on debt reduction that public services suffer.
They argue trains are less punctual than ever, and the road network is increasingly congested, unable to keep pace with the growing population. And there's less money available to combat the impact of global warming. And the debt brake has yet to be put to a real test. Switzerland was spared the worst of the severe recession that engulfed much of Europe and many parts of the world over the past few years. Supporters of the debt brake say it was precisely because of this mechanism that Switzerland weathered the global downturn, since the lower debt reduced the corresponding interest payments.
But what if this isn't true? Some extra emergency spending is allowed, but for the most part the government has its hands tied and can't do much to stimulate the economy, since the debt brake forces it to pay off old debts instead. How long should Switzerland deploy the debt brake as its key weapon to balance the books? Should it be watered down to allow more public spending? The debate continues.